welcome to Chief Joe's Art Stuff. My name is Julie and I'm here to impart some knowledge to you today via a 2-minute art tip. I had a request from our marketing department to kind of show you a product that I've been kind of playing around with a lot, which is the Mona Lisa Gold Leaf products by Speedball. I've been using them a lot in conjunction with my watercolor and also acrylic. You can see a couple of them back here, but they asked that I do like a full-on demo, like a piece front to back, so you can see how I use them. I really like using them in conjunction with watercolor a lot, and it's a lot more immediate. The thing that you do need to keep in mind is that because it's watercolor and it's a wet surface, if you apply an adhesive on here to put down the gold leaf, if the watercolor is wet at all, the gold leaf's going to stick to that when you first put it down, but then it's kind of starts to peel off later, so it's kind of a problem. You do have to kind of like get your watercolor going, kind of understand where you're going to go with this, and then let it completely and totally dry. So we're going to start this demo, and it'll take a couple little phases, but we want to show you exactly like how I do these start to finish. We do have a couple of samples to throw at you here, so if you haven't seen them before. I really like them. I use them in conjunction with a lot of metallic watercolor, also inks and stuff like that. So let's just play around and see what happens, and we hope that you will enjoy and find this interesting, because I really like this product, so want to show it to you. So what I'm working on here is I have a piece of Arsh 300-pound hot press in a natural white. I like it. It's nice and smooth. There's a lot of times where I'm doing work lately where I like the undulation and the way that the color settles into the tooth of the paper. Today I wasn't feeling that, so got a little bit of Arsh, and I'm pre-wetting this large space. I have hand deckled this. We have a video about hand deckling something, your paper to size. So I'm just laying down a big wet wash of water and letting that kind of soak into the surface, and then I'll go in and hit the color. I'm using a Princeton Neptune 6 Quill brush that we demoed with when we did our instructional video with Leslie in our Art Speak series. No, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't have a preconceived idea. I generally don't. I mean, sometimes, but pretty rarely. And even when I do, it never goes that way. I really like how the paint kind of dances in a wet wash, and like all the cool things that it does that I don't have any control over. So I feel like sometimes I'm just a vehicle to a larger process that has little or nothing to do with me. That feels pretty good. So I'm just kind of letting the color do what it will. I did a whole series via this method where it was a really like vanilla white paper, and would do large wet passages and use this color because it has this kind of veining that it does specifically, and the whole series was called Blue Bombs because you could just drip color right into it and it would fan out all on its own. Made these cool shapes that I absolutely just love. So Blue Bombs are my fave. So again, you can see I'm not like too attached to any like one idea, just kind of letting things happen, drilling some serious color down into these wet areas. Primarily I'm using American Journey, but there is some Daniel Smith watercolor in here. A lot of them that I've been playing around with are the Fine-Tec ones with the semi-precious stones in them, which I really love. They're so beautiful. They do so many cool things. So I'll be showing you some of those. I will likely put some Fine-Tec in here too, which you guys have seen me play around with some. Part of one of the things I like about this color and this technique is it almost reminds me of crystalline glazes. If you've ever seen the ceramic artists that do the salt crystal glazes, they're absolutely just gorgeous. And this kind of has the similar organic shape. I like the way they feel. Plus, you get in here and you start playing around, and sometimes you're like, oh, that looks like a landscape. Oh, that looks like creek bed, or this looks like a tree line, or whatever. And then other times, it doesn't have to look like anything. Take it any direction that you want. So we're going to branch off and do something a little different. And some of you are probably sitting there at home going, Julie, you're going to do an entire painting with that one single brush. Very possibly. It can happen. I have done that. The 300 pound is reacting with the water a little bit. It's got a little bit of a bow in it, and it's creating a little valley. Now, if I was working on something more representational, yes, this would bother me a lot. In this context, it really, really doesn't. So I'm not all that worried about it. Just kind of enjoying what's happening. This will likely end up being like a very, very large kind of like color field experiment, because that's kind of where a lot of these end up going with me. And I don't know if this light patches in the middle will retain and get to stay or not. We'll see. I'll show you this one color I really, really like. One, I've been playing around with Dan Smith's Iridescent Topaz, which is, yes, it's a gold metallic, but it's richer than that. It's not as yellow. It's a little bit more passive, I guess I would say, in terms of how golds behave, because many times golds will come in and kind of overtake a space and just dominate all the other colors. This one does not. Very, very mellow and pretty. And you can see some granulation happening in here on the surface of the paper. It's really, really pretty. So there's a bunch of irregular things that are kind of happening. Another color I want to make sure that you guys get to see. We have some Lunar Blue, which is another Dan Smith color. I really, really like this one. It's smoky. Now, it's not like Shadow or Bluestone that we have here at Cheap Joe's. This is, I don't know, almost, I don't know if you can see, because it kind of looks like a bluish, a subdued kind of blue purple, but it kind of works like more like a gray tone next to a lot of pure color, and I really, really like the way that looks. As you're seeing, we're getting a lot of pooling here in the middle, so that light passage that was there is, you know, gone. Oh well. And that's fine. I just kind of keep dropping color in there just to see what happens. And I like the way we've got kind of a compositional thing where we've got a lot of things happening in this third, and then there's you know, a lot of passive quiet space up here, which is nice. But I'm feeling the need to punch up some color here, so let me, Zoisite Genuine, another Dan Smith Fine-Tec color. This one right here, it looks very kind of sap green. Not sap green, folks. It is not, and it is beautiful. It's very earthy and natural, and again, it's another one of those colors that doesn't overtake its neighbors. It just kind of gently blends in with what's going on. Now, am I saying that you can't get a really strong coloration with it? No, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that it's not green, you know, like in your face, like obnoxious kind of green. It's very, very kind of polite and beautiful, and doesn't come in and take over the place. I've got some Lunar Blue going in various places. Another Dan Smith color that's fun. I really like this quill because it's gentle. You do have quite a bit of control with it. Like if I wanted to do delicate line work with it, I could. It's almost perfect for this because it has such a large reservoir. I can kind of dab color into it for a really, really long time, and it does everything that I need it to do. Plenty of color carry, and I really, really like. I've really enjoyed playing with Neptunes. They're lots of fun. A great addition to my brush family. Now, actually, I'm gonna get out my Fine-Tec, another product I've been using a lot of lately. So I've got some subtle gold tones happening already with the Dan Smith color. But when you're really trying to fire it in there and get serious, this is where it's at. I've got flowers in mine. These are very, very highly pigmented. This has a lot of mica in it, so it's a lot of reflection. It picks up a lot of light. The issue that you need to kind of keep in mind with this is that it takes a little while to activate. They're a little bit dry and sort of a little bit crunchy when you first try to wet them down. So it takes a little bit to get them started, but once you do, they are high octane metallic. color. Now, granted, I've got a copper, silver, you know, kind of assortment here that I use a lot, that I really enjoy. However, I do have some other colors. They come in a whole litany of colors that are fascinating. I'll show you one of my new faves. Guess what? It's blue. So let me show you this one. I don't even know what it's called. I'll look it up for you. But anyway, it looks kind of like a gray or a pewter, but it is not. It's kind of like this intense blue, but it kind of has to do with what it's next to. So it does beautiful things, and I've really loved playing around with this. It is so fun. I need to go ahead and break bad and just get myself a whole container, you know, that I can put these individual colors in that I've picked out, which we do have. So like if you're interested in Fine-Tec, but you're not interested in this kind of predetermined, pre-sorted format, you can make your own, and that is, I mean, talk about fun. We have the tin that you can buy, and it's fantastic. And then you can just put whatever colors that you want to in there and mix and match as you see fit. So that is a really, really fun thing to try as well. This needs to, like we said, like completely and totally dry. So we're gonna go eat lunch, and we're gonna come back and I'll show you like the next steps, how I would determine where this goes and what I do with it after this point. So we will see you guys in just a little bit, and we'll finish this up. We are back from lunch, and we had a good little amount of time for this to dry. So we're gonna move on and do like the next step that I would do with a piece like this, and that is I'm gonna go ahead and apply the gold foil. Now, when it comes in a cute little envelope like this, but it comes like in a pad with this fine tissue paper interlaced in between to keep them from sticking together. Mona Lisa does have like a specific adhesive that's made for this. I just don't use it. Like I just always seem to gravitate to what I have around in my studio, you know, that I use all the time. And what I've been using most often with this is these Zig glue pens, the ballpoint glue pens. And the reason I like them is because I can almost like draw with the glue. Because it's a little bit more of a fluid format, you generally have a little bit more bleed. Like when you put the glue down, it's in like a fluid puddle, and then you set the gold leaf down on it, and it does spread a little bit bigger. So it's bigger, and there's like less control than you would probably want, and you can get more control with the adhesive that Mona Lisa makes for, you know, fine edges and stuff like that. I'm not as interested in that. You know, I kind of like the randomness of it, so I've just been playing around with these, and that's just kind of what I do. So they told me to show you what I do. I'm doing it. So what we're going to do is we're going to lay down some adhesive. I'm particularly interested in this kind of blossom line that developed here. I will probably follow that a little bit, especially since the gold will contrast nicely with this dark in here. There's a lot of interesting granulation that's happened along these edges and stuff. And then what will happen is once this is dried, I'll show you how you take it off, with the excess off with a brush. And then I'll probably do some line work on top of it. So, okay. So this thing is already charged. I've already gotten it ready to go. So I'm just gonna draw on this with the glue pen. And what I've done is you kind of have to have this, the gold foil at the ready, ready to pick up and lay down, because it's not gonna, the glue's not going to wait around forever while you're making decisions and stuff. So, and you can see I'm kind of like pressing the little diaphragm as I'm going here, but I'm not interested in making like a super precise line, just kind of getting some shape down, doing some stuff. So while that is wet, I'm going to pick up some of the foil. And I just lay it on top there. Make sure I've got all the glue space covered. This does take a while to dry. It's not going to be 20 minutes or whatever. It's going to be an hour or more. So we're going to come back to it and I'll show you how you brush this off later, because it's not quick. It takes a while to dry underneath there. Now, the more I pat it with my fingers, the more spreading I'm going to get. So I try just to make sure that it's down. So we're going to let this dry. It'll take a little while for that glue to set up and the leaf to adhere to it. And then I'll show you how we take it off and we'll finish this up. So be right back. So we are back and we have given this thing about maybe an hour, 45 minutes to dry. I can tell that the glue has dried because like you can shake it and then the excess part that's not adhered is, you know, fallen away, and you can see a pretty distinct line. If you have any doubt, you can put like a hair dryer on low on there and just tell. If you put it on high though, it's gonna wrinkle up and it creates a totally different look, which you may or may not want. So I'm going to show you how you take this off. I use a soft paintbrush to take this off. If there is any wet glue underneath there, the great thing about the brush is you can always rinse it out and you're not going to worry about damaging it or anything. This makes a heck of a mess though, I can tell you for sure. We're gonna do this into a trash can, but I often will just go outside in like the backyard and do this because it just gets everywhere. So we have a soft white nylon brush. This is the Cheap Joe's Old Faithful, and what I use this for is just to you just lightly brush it like this and the excess comes off fairly easy. Now, yeah, there's some waste, whatever, but it's worth it. The result is cool. So we're gonna rub this. I'm trying not to make a complete and total mess. Now, like I said, you'll notice that it's not a sharp detailed line because of the glue, the adhesive that I used, which is totally fine. I'm not all that concerned with that. Like the adhesive that's sold for this, you can achieve a little bit more control, but I'm not interested in control. I'm interested in whatever kind of organic thing is going to happen. So as you see, you've got like an undulating kind of line that goes across that section there, and you do have to kind of play with it a little bit because sometimes it's hard to tell like where it's actually stuck and where it's not. So you kind of got to play with it a bit. Yeah, that looks pretty cool. Now what we're going to do is do a little bit of line work around that. The cool part is that this comes in more than just gold. We do have silver and copper, which is gorgeous. I've done a couple pieces with that. So we have more color options than just this. There we go. All done. Hope that you get a little bit out of this demo. This is kind of how I'm using this product right now all the time. But there's a whole bunch of various ways that and fun things that you can do with it. So make sure to check it out, and we are sure that you will enjoy.